For the first time in over 11 months, we saw sale prices increase for benchmark prices across the Fraser Valley. In this video, I'm going to go over what sale prices are doing for each asset class and where the best opportunity lies if you're thinking about buying a home. Before I dive in, if you guys could hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're looking to talk about anything real estate in more detail, whether that be buying a home, selling a home, or just want to have a general conversation about what's happening in the Fraser Valley, you can book a call with me by clicking the link in the description below. Together, let's go over what detached townhomes and condos are doing throughout Langley and the Fraser Valley market. I have the benchmark price, which is the best representation. It's better than average, especially when sales are this low. Got detached and attached combined for the Fraser Valley, which is outlined in blue, and Langley that's outlined in red. And it is true that prices did slightly go up, hardly by any, in both the Fraser Valley and the Langley regions. Looking at active listings, they have been on the up since the beginning of the year, and we're currently in the Fraser Valley for detached and attached sitting at 6,515. Of those, we can see that 893 sold. So the absorption rates are still quite low. Looking at months of inventory, which is a great measure for the absorption rate and how fast things are selling, it really does give us a good indication of what the market's doing. Anything 1 to 3 months of inventory is a seller's market, 4 to 6 is a balanced market, and anything that's sitting at 6+ months of inventory is considered a buyer's market. And overall, the Fraser Valley region is in a buyer's market. I'll break it down for you by asset class for months of supply, just because it is such a good indicator of what's happening. In March, detached homes in Langley were just in that balanced market category, barely, but technically anything under 6 months is. Looking at the Fraser Valley as a whole, there are 8.7 months of inventory, indicating quite a strong buyer's market, meaning that buyers have the upper hand. They have a surplus of inventory to choose from, and days on markets are generally high, so they have time to make a decision before putting forward their offer. And once they do put forward their offer, there's plenty of time to have that subject removal period, which is when we do our due diligence on the property, such as get a home inspection, look at the title search, property disclosure statement, strata docs if it is a strata property, and verify that your financing is approved. Because even though you have a pre-approval, we still have to send that accepted offer into your mortgage broker, who then sends it to an underwriter and make sure that your mortgage is 100% ready to go and greenlit by a lender. Switching to apartments, Langley 6.7 buyer's market, and the Fraser Valley sitting at 7.3 months of inventory, again a buyer's market. I've seen such a high number of condos in the Fraser Valley and Langley area on the market, more than I've ever seen before, and it's a very slow moving market. Lastly, we'll go over townhomes for months of supply. 6 months of supply in the Fraser Valley and only 3.8 months of inventory in Langley. Since January, we've seen months of inventory rise across the Fraser Valley and Langley area, and that's really for all property types. And what that means is that we're seeing inventory levels rise and not as many sales happening. We're actually down year over year for sales when comparing March 2026 to March 2025, which is quite surprising considering that 2025 saw all-time lows for the number of sales, fewer sales than we've seen in over 2 decades. And that was something that I didn't expect to see this year. I thought that we were going to be on the rebound, but that just doesn't seem to be the case. Personally, when I'm taking buyers out, they still have a lot of hesitation in terms of making an offer. And that's generally because aside from this past month, they've been seeing downward trending pricing, more listings hitting the market. Therefore, buyers are suggesting that there's greater opportunity for them if they continue to wait. And while that may be true, no one knows when the bottom of the market will be. One thing is certain is that we are starting to see interest rates rise, which again was not something that I thought would happen this year, but fixed rates are actually going up. They're directly correlated to bond yields, which are on the rise as well. Variable rates are holding, and the overnight lending rate is what the variable rates are based on. So we expect variable rates to hold, but those fixed rates are going to be increasing. I do suspect that prices will continue to decrease just because of the fact interest rates are expected to rise. We're still seeing listings hit the market. There's definitely no shortage of supply. We're way over what we usually are in the Fraser Valley for all property types. It was interesting to see that townhomes are actually in technically a seller's market in Langley. That comes down to affordability, because if you want to be in a certain neighborhood, for example, Willoughby Heights, which is a super popular neighborhood for families due to the great schools, proximity to the highway, and all the amenities and parks that they offer. The alternative to a 3 or 4 bedroom townhouse is a detached property, and the gap between townhomes and detached, although lower today than they were at the peak of the market, is still somewhat of a jump. And considering what's going on in the economy, it is very hard for families to jump into that detached property, especially if they're currently in a 2 or 3 bedroom condo. Inventory levels in the Fraser Valley are up 50% compared to the 10-year average. That just goes to show how much choice there is right now for buyers. It's honestly such a great opportunity if you're thinking about getting into the market, because the choice is plentiful. You have lots of time to make an offer. You're going to get a home inspection, review those strata documents, and really make sure that you're going to love your first property. Let's take a look at active listings over the last 5 years, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say active listings are on the rise. This was the peak of the market, March 2022. You can see all property types. So I've got detached in blue, condos in red, and townhomes in green have been on the rise, with the exception of a couple dips during the December months, which is expected as people take their homes off the market during Christmas time. After December and into the new year, this year and last year, we've seen peaks with slow declines in the fall months. Towards December again, people take their home on the market with the hopes of trying in the new year, and that trend's continuing into this year. I expect that inventory levels are going to continue to rise because of affordability. Buyers are still hesitant to write offers, and some sellers still, although more so than I did see last year, are holding on to the higher prices they saw a few years ago, especially in the peak of the market in 2022 and the earlier parts of 2023. So once that mentality switches, I believe we're going to see a healthy market. It's just going to take a little bit more time. I don't think this year again is going to be specifically interesting. It seems as though it's turning out to be another recovery year, especially because I'm recording this in mid-April. Generally, that's our busy season. I will say in the last month, I have been busy. Although busy writing offers, doing showings, not necessarily seeing them through to the end. That's the big change this year that I've noticed. Something I want to share with you was that I was in multiple offers yesterday, actually, for a detached home in Clayton Heights. So they were originally listed at 1.33. They sat on the market for over a month and they reduced it to 1.288. We went into multiple offers, and that's another indicator that if you are priced right, and this home showed very, very well, you will get offers and sell. People are looking, they're just picky about what they're looking for, and they want to make sure they get a good price on it. If you're looking for something in the Fraser Valley or Greater Vancouver area and you want to talk about real estate a little bit more because you're not quite sure what to do next, feel free to click the link in the description below and book a 30-minute call with me. If you guys enjoyed this content, I would greatly appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.